Hi, good morning, class. I hope you guys are doing well. Um, Today will be my final session with you, and I hope to share some salient areas concerning the examination. As it were, you would have known that we have, at least from the onset of our lectures, we touched on the overview of database systems. We also looked at the architecture and the environment in which we worked with. Right? We also looked at entity relationship modeling and how to normalize a table or how to normalize a database. And we also looked into what relational database systems are. Since we have been able to effect normalization, we are able to now tell how database relates to one another. Now we also looked at extensively uh, SQL management. In other words, manipulations, and that has been the meat of our work. In other words, the crown in the jewel. Okay, so this these areas are have been covered extensively, and this should be the reason for our examination. You must have gotten a foretaste of the exam. Sorry, you would have gotten a foretaste of the exam in your in the midterm that was conducted a few weeks back or last week or so. And if you indeed performed, you should know that this is the direction we are going. Okay, so I've given you the areas. We're going to have entity relationship modeling coming, normalization coming. Um, we also looked at query processing. That means we are looking at the manipulation of database, creating a database, creating a table, altering a table, setting certain inputs into the table. All right. So these are the areas covered so far. And so you should expect questions from all angles. Database security was not touched, even though it's important. I thought maybe in advanced database you'll be open to what we call SQL injection, what you can do to prevent database exploitations and whatnot. So I didn't deem it fit to touch on that. And so no questions will be coming from database security. Okay, so that should suffice. Now, in conclusion to our work, I want us to look at aliases because in SQL you come across them, and I don't want you to be taking unawares. Okay, so what are aliases? These are uh, couch names, or when we say alias, unique. In other words, these represent other names that can be given to the table or to a column. Right, so it's a temporary name, right, and often used to make column names more readable. So maybe what might have come with your work or the database might seem a bit cumbersome to chew on. However, this offers us the opportunity to alter and make it readable. Mm. So, for example, um, we could have our Northwind database. When we come into Northwind database, we have the customers table. In the customers table, you realize that we have company here, all right? So maybe you want to give it a much more meaningful name. So you could go in there and say select. Okay, we'll select company name. So just say company. So say let company as, then you give it the name you want to give it, maybe place of work, right? And you should note that there is one word. You use underscore to separate it if you want to make it readable like that. So place of work from customers. All right. So we can just end there. No conditions attached from customers. So you see, in place of the company name, the alias is going to be replaced. So this would replace this. So when we run this, we will now see in here that we have a place of work being the the name of the column, right? So this should suffice enough for us to do our work, right? So this database management is not difficult at all. Once you get to know the keywords, to apply, you're good to go, right? It shouldn't be difficult at all. So these are but a few things that we can do using the aliases. Now we're moving on to joins. It's very important to note that tables can be joined together. All right. So looking at this, for instance, you can see we have the order table, we have the customers table, right? Now, in appreciating this, usually, assuming we want to merge or want to look into both tables at the same time, it will be as easy as just going in. Okay, so we have, this is the customers table. You see, this is what we have. When we go into the orders table, this is what we also have. Now, we can't be clicking on this and be clicking on that. We can also just say that, okay, since we have this, we can write a query, a select query, where we will just say select all columns from the customers. Oh, sorry, customers, right? Then in separate, then we can also do another select and say from orders table. Mm. So in this case, we have two select statements that is going to give us the opportunity to view. So it's opening this and going to open this at the same time. So in my work, I can now be exploring this, okay, trying to see, okay, what is common to this side and common to the other side. So when I look carefully, I can see here we have um, we have an ID here. We have an ID for the customers table. So its ID is here, all right? Okay, so okay, there's nothing uh, relating to order. So I want us to go into that port and then say, okay, so now we come here to orders and we see that we have customer ID. So there's some relationship established. This ID is for the orders table, all right? And this is for the customers table. So meaning that we have something in common here, all right? Then we can look at the order date. Okay, assuming we want to look at the order date and the shipped date. Or we can even look at the ship name, the ship that is coming. You can look at the ship name. All right. So you realize that if we want to see this together, then it will mean we'll have to take a different strategy. All right. So these are not joins. This affords us the opportunity to view it together. But when we look at joins, when we look at joins, joins are rather going to put them together for us. so that we can view one single table and have the orders table showing the orders column showing in the customers table as customers column showing in one stretch or in one breath. Are you with me? So that is why it is important to have joins. So what is a join? It's a clause used to combine rows from two or more tables based on a related column between them. So watch this. When we came into the orders table, you realize that there was a relationship that had already been established. So when we look at this is for the customers table. Now we go down and this is for the orders table. See that there's something common to both sides, and that is we have the customer ID, we have the customer ID here too as well. So now this is the reason for their connection. And so when you want to establish a join, this is what is going to enable the join to take place. Okay, so let's dive in and do one example. So when we look at this inner join, we have the inner join, the left join, the right join, and the cross join. Now, these are peculiar joins. Now, let's look at the difference. When we say inner join, what are we referring to? We're saying that the inner join keyword selects records that have matching values in both tables. In both tables. You can see here that we have a Venn diagram. This table contains the customers table, and this table contains the orders table. Now, what is common to both will be a customer places orders. We're not looking at the entire customer table. We are interested in those customers that have made orders. So they are the ones that fall in this intersection. Are we okay? So the intersection here means we have customers who have placed orders, and they are the ones here. We're not looking at any kind of customer because there might be some customers who actually have not placed orders for anything, but they are customers, all right? Because they are interested in something, they might come and pay. So once they start paying, then they become customers, but they can still be in the system and might not have placed orders for anything. It's possible. You can do window shopping for an online shop. You can go in, not necessarily buy anything, but you can sign up. You're a customer, but you have not paid. You're not a paying customer. So those who have placed orders, they are the ones at the intersection. And how do we get this going? So simple. We want the matching. So the term here or the syntax to use for the inner join. The if you declare the join without giving a particular keyword, automatically would take the inner join. Are you with me? So for example, assuming we want to select certain columns from the customers table and join them with the orders table. And then the on here represents the condition. And what's the condition? The condition that there is a key that is peculiar to both sides. And when we look at it, here it's saying table 1 column name, table 2 column name. Now, this will not be too clear enough to understand. But the point is, these are the keys. Okay, these are columns common to both sides. Are we okay? And that makes it the reason for the coalition or the reason for the merger. Okay, so let's go into our work and then see what exactly we are talking about. So when we come in here, let's go back to the Northwind. Now we go to SQL. Now we want to select from the customers table using the inner join. And then, so when we say inner join, let me place emphasis on something here. So what are we trying to say here? Let me see whether my stylus can work here. I'm trying to use a stylus. Sorry. Okay, my stylus is working. So okay, so assuming we have, oh, my stylus is throwing me off guard. See, no, it's not working. My stylus is not working. Okay, so let me try to see what I can use this. All right, so okay, so we have this as our Venn diagram. Okay, so this is C for customers, right? We have this for others. Now, what we are trying to write here is that the common item here, okay, when we look at the when we look at our database before we come here, I earlier established that the customer ID was what we're going to use as our linkage. All right, that's going to link both ends. So to establish that, we will say that select, we are selecting from, um, let's select all first, okay, from customers table. Then we place our inner join and join with others. So now what are we doing? Anytime you are selecting from, so first of all, this is the right join. This is this is the left. This is the left. L. Let me make it somewhere so that you see the difference. This is C customer. So this is the left and this is the right. Right. So what are we referring to when we say left and right joins? This is where we are talking about. But in this case, we want to look at the inner. This is the inner, in the inner join. So the inner join, since we are referring to C customers, we would take from customers first. That is the rule. We take from customers first, then before going on to. So when you come in here, we are saying we are selecting all the columns, both sides, both for customers and others. All right. And then the inner join will be the others. So that is the from others. I get in it. So we are taking items from customers and joining them with others. Now, on condition, so this is the on condition that something is equal to something. What is equal? When we come to the ID, so we say ID, let's specify. So in this case, we say in the case of customers dot ID, right? Customers dot ID equal to others dot customer ID. Okay. So that as I automatically came up, meaning that it knows that there is a column like that existing. So this customers.id equal to others.id because yes, they are the same. That is why we've established. So this is the reason for the join. Are we okay? Now we will run this. This should pull a combination of this actually represents the customers table up to another ID starts from here. So this now belongs to the orders table. So you can see the order customers ID here. We have the order date and that information here. All right. So this is a combination of order. Now this makes the whole thing look so big and cumbersome. Now we can go in for certain things. In the case of uh, the customers, we might want to look at which company. Okay, so let's say company. We are looking at company for the customers, and maybe the the first name of the customers. So we are looking at company, and if we do with first name, let's go with the last name. Last names are much more important. So company name and last name in combination with, let's look at the order date. Maybe we want to look at the order date and the ship, right? So order date and what, and the ship. So we want to see and the ship's name. Yeah, yeah. That's what we want to see, what is coming in our combination. Right. So here we will do an edit, and this time around, now here we say from customers. So instead of we just leaving it as customers, we can put an alias and say customers are C. You remember, customers are C. Now when we come to orders, and we also say orders as O, so that to make the life easy for us. Now in that case, once we have given these aliases, we can come here comfortably and select. So here in this case, for instance, we know that C represents customers. So we can even alter this and put there as C, and we'll alter this orders and just put there as O. Now, when we come in here, we want to specify which we earlier on said we want to see the company, all right? Company. So we'll type here company, all right? So instead of saying company, we just say C dot company, all right? Comma. And then uh, what else? Let's say last name, C again, dot last name, comma. Uh, we have looked at the last name. Let's move to, so here, order date, and then the ship name, order date and the ship name. So here we will say O dot order date. You see, as you type, it comes up. Then O dot what? Ship name. Okay. So now these are the concentration points. We want to see the company, the last name, the order date, and the ship name. That's what I want to see. So now this is now the inner join as established. Are we okay? So we go. Now you see that it pulls these as the people who have actually placed orders in our tutorial. We are saying that in this case, this what we are referring to, not everybody, but we are referring to those who have placed orders. And this is the result of those who have placed orders, right? And we are referring to the company, the last name. So you are able to tell which company and who in particular has ordered for it. Okay, now which ship, which date was the order made, and which ship is bringing it. So you see that this information hitherto were in separate tables, but we have been able to put them together using joins. Now, this is the benefit of joins. Now, we're looking at another keyword, that is the left join. What's the left join? The left join is referring to the entire table here. So you see, it's all customers in addition to those who placed orders. So meaning that in our table, we are likely to get people who customers that have not placed orders. True or false? True. Because these people who lie here have not placed an order. Okay, they are just customers. Okay, let me use a different. Let me use red. Let me use red. These ones are lying here. They are just customers. All right. They are not paying. They don't usually pay. They are the ones who go to shopping malls and they just be walking gallivanting all over the place. Yes, they are also referred as customer. They are also customers, but they have not paid anything. So they are also allowed to be there, right? So we are saying that through the left join, because here it's sitting on the left. Don't forget, this is the left. So since the left join, we are referring to every item. Let me use green. We are referring to every item enclosed in here. So see that a part of orders have come into it, meaning those who have not placed orders in addition to those who have placed orders. So we are likely to see some null values in them. So we go back, we are likely to experience null values. So let's go back and then edit our query. This time we are saying left join. Okay, left join. Okay, so with a left join, now everything still remains the same. All right, whether you bring these customers here or there, it's still going to look into the same tables and bring the item. So their positions don't matter at this point. Right, so we will run this. Now take a look at this. You can see that we didn't experience any null values in here, right? But let's see this time around how it's going to fetch. So you see that we are now witnessing some null values now. So it means that this customer has not placed any orders. That is why it's here, because our query is saying that we want what? The left join. So the left join refers to the entire left table, the customers table. So it is possible for us to have people who are customers and have not placed order. That is why here is showing null. When we come down here to, it's showing people. So now, so invariably we are having to see two people who are customers and have not placed orders yet. So this is a simple thing. Assuming we have students who have not registered their courses. Another thing. Students who say they are students, they have paid school fees, but they have not registered. So this is what happens. They are students, but they have not registered. So that is why to be seen as what? No, that is what this means. Are you getting it? So at least it's making some sense for us, well, right? Now, the next part is to consider the right join. So what are we talking about? When we look at this, we can see that the right join here is the orders table. Now look at this. We are seeing a match of the customers. So we have some customers, sorry, who have made certain orders. Now we are referring to the orders in entirety. So it means that let's look at the logic. If we have orders, orders belong to what? Customers. So if we are looking at the entire orders, invariably we are just looking at those customers that have placed orders. And what does it sound like? Doesn't it sound like the inner join? It sounds like the inner join. Okay, even though it's looking this way, it sounds like the inner join. So let's go back and alter our, so we are saying that we now the emphasis is now going to be on the orders, no longer on the customers. Because we are saying what? When we look at our diagram here, it's for orders. So emphasis is going to be on the order, not on the uh, customers. So when we go back, we would alter this. So we are saying that it should be from the orders table rather. So here we would make amends and say order, all right, and then we'll move customer and bring customer here. I getting it now, because that is from, that emphasis is on the left, right? The emphasis is on what? No, the right. So I'm on the right joint. So let me go back and then edit this one. So make this one right. So the right joint. Okay. So when we say the right point, emphasis is on orders. Okay, orders. Then we will join it with the customers table. All right. However, the linkage there still remains the same, because this must be equal to that. In other words, the ID of the customers table must equal the customer ID in the orders table. All right. So let's run this and see what we'll get. So you see that it's almost the same thing. When we did it, we didn't see anything different. It's the same thing that came, because this time around we are viewing it from a different angle. However, still pulling the records. So we are still back to the same table. Nothing has actually changed. Right. Let me send this here. Let's see what effect we'll get. Let me send this back here, and let's see what I'll get here. Let's see what we'll get. Okay. So let's maintain it as if, let's just use the right to do the linkage. So you see that the positioning also counts a lot. So if we had maintained it, we will still arrive at the inner join, because when you look at it, this is the inner join. Okay, even though it is referring to the right join, it is the inner join that has come here. Let's go back and then change this to inner join. Let's make not to right, let's say inner join. Nothing has changed. The same thing. So in other words, the inner join and the right join are the same. All right, nothing really changes, but just that it is for specificity. When we look at it entirely, when we look at it, the logic here is that these are the orders, and definitely every order here belongs to a customer. That's the sense. If you have not placed an order, you will not find it here. Are you with me? So invariably, these are parts of the customers table. Even though it looks like here looks empty, majority of the customers who have placed orders are the ones we are seeing in this table. All right. So I think this brings finality to whatever we have in mind. So that is it. So when I say depending on the question, you should be able to understand that when I say customers who have placed orders, what are we referring to? We're referring to either the right join or the what? Or the inner join. That's what it is. It's the same thing that will come up. So unless maybe the question say that, okay, using the right join, then you know what to do. So the cross join simply means it's going to put all together into a very large set. So cross join can potentially return very large resources. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So it's combining everything. But come to think of it, if you use a right join, all right, this time we're not using any condition. We're not using any condition here. But assuming we want to use the right join as in that, we can go back. Let's have a look at this, edit this. Let's call this cross join. Right, cross join. Let's do a cross and let's see what it's going to give us. 10 times about just giving a try. So you see, with a cross and it's still producing the same thing. Why? Because technically speaking, when we come to this, when we say cross join, what are we referring to? We are trying to say that the customers here and the others here, right? So to me, I was expecting to see some null values in them. But let's go back and then maybe look at our, so here, right, from customers table, then cross join others, right? So it's producing exactly the inner join to us as that. Let me see, let me take off the condition here. Let's see, it's still producing. So now this one is giving us only one-sided data. Okay, one-sided data. So carrying. So meaning that it's looking at only um, um, it's looking at just one side. Let me go back and then place this and go. So here we have a mixture of carrying, crazily, and what have you over there. So the condition also sets everything right. So basically, the cross join still seems to act just like the uh, the inner joins, right? So they are the same things. A join is a join. That is why if you don't specify, assuming we were doing it and we didn't specify whether it's a cross join or any, it's going to automatically use the inner join. So let's say, assuming we did not specify the keyword here, assuming we did not specify the keyword here, and we run it, what are we seeing? You see that automatically it's acting just like the inner join, right? You can see it. So if you don't specify in a join, it is going to join them together, not necessarily separating anything. You get it? So the join there, unless the question specifies a particular thing, then you should know that okay, they are referring to the left join. So how would one be able to know that we are referring to either a left join or a right join? When you come into the inner join, we are referring to uh, data or values that match in both tables. Both tables. So when we say both tables, meaning we are talking about this Venn diagram where there's an intersection, right? Or maybe a certain reason can be said that, oh, at the intersection of customers and this, we would like to know these people who fall within that category. So in other words, we're talking about the inner join. All right. So the left join will be, now these are customers. All right. The left customers, and these are the others. So when we say, okay, we want to know the customers, the entire customers who have either placed an order or not placed an order. So in other words, we are referring to the entire left table, the entire customers table. You can see that this portion will mean that they would have placed an order for something. That is how the question will go. Okay, and so when we also say, okay, we are looking at only the orders. When we say orders, in other words, we are trying to say that the customers that have also placed an order will fall within that category. Are we okay? So basically, that is this for the semester. At least I have been able to do justice to this course, and I expect that going forward in your advanced lives, you'll be able to write queries of any kind, and you will not uh, be intimidated by anything. Once you go online, if something baffles you, you can just do a refresher course, go to W3 schools, try to look at the syntax, what exactly they want. Then you can put it there. All right. So I wish you all the best in your exam, and I pray that you guys will excel. All right. Thank you so much for having me. Even though we've had rough times, I pray that going forward, you guys will see the light of day as far as this exam is concerned. If you have any issue whatsoever, please feel at home to get back to me, or you can, I'm on a chat on the platform with you guys. You can back, how do you say that? You can PM me, okay, anything at all that baffles you, all right? I wish you all the best, guys. Much love to you guys. Bye.